She only wanted a quiet evening, a chance to celebrate after years of hard work. But instead, she found herself humiliated in the most public way possible. A black woman, respected and graceful, stood in the hotel lobby with water dripping down her face, soaked not by accident, but by the cruel hand of the very manager who was supposed to uphold dignity. Shock filled the room, but no one moved. Was this just another display of power? Or was it something far darker, racism, raw and undeniable? What happened next would shake the entire hotel staff. Watch until the end. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Naomi Carter was no stranger to success. She had built her career step by step, overcoming obstacles many never saw. That evening, she walked into the five-star hotel with a sense of pride, her dress flowing like quiet confidence. The hotel, known for its glittering chandeliers and polished marble floors, was hosting a celebration dinner that meant more than just food. It was a recognition of her years of perseverance. Her husband, Jordan, had insisted on arranging everything perfectly. The couple had traveled across the country, booking suites and event space to make the night memorable. For Naomi, it was supposed to be a moment of joy, yet even as she crossed the lobby, she felt eyes linger too long. Whispers brushed the air like shadows. Still, she pushed the thoughts aside. After all, she was a guest like anyone else. She didn't know that one man, the hotel's manager, was about to turn her evening into a moment of raw humiliation that would never be forgotten. The first signs were subtle. When Naomi approached the front desk, the manager's tone was clipped, dismissive, as though her presence disrupted his rhythm. Other guests, primarily white, were greeted with warm smiles and welcoming gestures. But when Naomi gave her name, the manager's eyes narrowed. He delayed her check-in, questioning her reservation as though it couldn't possibly belong to her. Minutes stretched uncomfortably while people behind her were ushered through with ease. Jordan had stepped away to handle a quick call, leaving Naomi alone in the uncomfortable exchange. Her heart raced, but she remained composed. She had learned long ago that dignity was her shield. Yet the manager's sneer grew sharper. Then, in a sudden act of cruelty, he lifted a glass of water from the counter and threw it directly at her face. Gasps filled the lobby. The cold splash struck her skin, drenching her makeup, her hair, her dress. For a heartbeat, silence consumed the room. Some staff froze, pretending not to see. Guests looked away, uncomfortable but unwilling to intervene. Naomi's chest tightened, not from the water but from the humiliation that burned hotter than fire. This wasn't clumsiness. This was deliberate. And the worst part? The man smirked, as though daring anyone to challenge him. When Jordan returned, he found his wife trembling, drenched, and silent. His eyes darted from her to the manager, rage boiling beneath the surface. Something inside him snapped. Jordan didn't shout. He didn't demand explanations. Instead, he pulled out his phone and made one call. Within minutes, whispers ran through the staff. This wasn't just any guest. Jordan was a silent investor in the very hotel chain, a man with authority higher than the smirking manager could ever imagine. The room shifted. Staff members who had been frozen in silence now looked at each other, realizing the storm about to hit. Jordan walked to the center of the lobby, his voice steady but cold. In front of every guest, every employee, he delivered his judgment. The manager's arrogance drained from his face when Jordan announced his termination on the spot. Fired. Not in a back office, not behind closed doors, but here, in the lobby where he had tried to degrade Naomi. The tables had turned. Brutally and swiftly, the manager stood frozen, his smirk erased, his career collapsing before his eyes. Guests who had pretended not to see suddenly applauded, some out of relief, while others did so out of guilt. The silence of complicity had broken, if only for a moment. Naomi stood tall even as water clung to her skin. The humiliation could not be erased, but neither could the strength with which she carried herself. Jordan placed his hand gently on her shoulder, not as a savior, but as a partner, reminding her she was never alone. For the staff, it was a lesson burned into memory. Racism, cruelty, and abuse of power had no place in hospitality, or anywhere. For Naomi, it was another scar added to the quiet battles she had fought all her life. But this time, justice had come swiftly, publicly, undeniably. The very walls of the hotel had witnessed the truth. Respect cannot be demanded, but it can and must be defended. How many more stories like Naomi's remain untold? How many moments of cruelty pass in silence because no one stands up? The question remains for all of us. When you see injustice, will you turn away or will you act? Which country and city are you watching from? Take care.